Teachers are found in every community and are essential to fulfilling the potential of every student. And yet, what do we know about the characteristics of teachers in our own metro area? In this report, we address this question with a comprehensive look at public school teachers in Greater Milwaukee. This work builds upon a pair of reports published in December 2014 that defined the K-12 educational landscape in the city of Milwaukee, including public, charter, and private schools. Understanding the teaching workforce serving our students became a logical next step for our research. Our analysis uses the most up-to-date data on public schools in the four-county Milwaukee metropolitan area to address a number of questions about teacher characteristics and demographics. Our analysis includes data over multiple years to capture changes that have occurred since the adoption of Act 10 in 2011. Public school districts across Metro Milwaukee employ more than 14,000 teachers. 20 of the 53 districts in our analysis employ fewer than 100 teachers, while 12 districts have fewer than 50. The public school teacher workforce declined by 4.6%, or 700 teachers, over the past 5 years. Of the 53 districts analyzed, 28 saw a decline in teachers over the period. The Greater Milwaukee teaching workforce is not especially diverse. White teachers comprise 89% of the workforce, while minority teachers account for only 11%. We find that 16 of the 53 districts in Greater Milwaukee do not employ a single minority teacher. The teaching workforce does not reflect the racial composition of the students they serve. While 89% of teachers are white, students of color comprise 44% of public school enrollments. The number of minority teachers declined by 88 over the time frame, while the enrollment of minority students increased in all but one district. The average age of a public school teacher in Greater Milwaukee is 43 years old and has not changed over time. This finding contradicts the notion that districts would replace older teachers with new, younger teachers in the wake of early retirements associated with Act 10. We see that 53% of teachers are in their 40s and 50s. Young teachers, aged 20 to 29, make up a small part of the workforce, just 10.7% of all teachers. The number of teachers aged 55 and over declined by 20% over the last 5 years. This was a predicted outcome of the Act 10 legislation. To replace these teachers, it was logical to expect districts would hire young teachers. However, the percentage of teachers in their 20s actually declined over time, suggesting that districts have not necessarily shifted to hiring new college graduates to fill vacancies. On average, the teacher workforce in the area is less experienced today than it was 5 years ago. The average teacher in Greater Milwaukee has 12.7 years of total teaching experience, which is down from 13.5 years. New teachers with less than 5 years of experience make up nearly a quarter of all educators. Districts are hiring teachers who are less experienced, but not necessarily younger. In 2009-10, the average age of a new teacher with less than 5 years of experience was 32.1 years old. 5 years later, the average age had increased to 33.3 years. Nearly 51% of the teaching workforce has a bachelor's degree as their highest level of education. Teachers with a master's degree make up 48% of the workforce, while the remaining 1% have a doctorate or other qualification, including associate degrees. The region has nearly 2,500 special education teachers, showing a slight increase over time. Altogether, special education teachers comprise 17% of the teacher workforce. By comparison, the region has more than 34,000 students with disabilities, accounting for 14.6% of enrollments. The region has just 151 teachers assigned to English as a second language courses. This number has declined slightly over the past 5 years. Districts in the area serve more than 12,000 ESL students, though this number too has fallen over time. ESL teachers represent just 1% of the workforce, while ESL students comprise 5.3% of enrollments. Moreover, 30 of the 53 districts do not have any teachers assigned to ESL. The research findings are both instructive and incomplete. Without the ability to include teachers from private schools, the figures, patterns, and trends identified do not encompass the entire educational environment of Greater Milwaukee. As with many research projects, this report raises more questions than it provides answers. We aim to address these questions in further research. The second report in this series will focus on school and district leaders in the metro area, while our final report will quantify the teacher workforce pipeline. Taken together, this body of research on the educator workforce in Greater Milwaukee will help to inform school district leaders, policy stakeholders, and the public about the people who lead our schools and educate our children. For more information about teachers in Greater Milwaukee, read the full report at publicpolicyforum.org.